Did you know there's actually an incest application in Iceland to stop you from hooking up with any relatives? I'm Mike with List 25, and we've trawled the internet to compile some of the strangest, but true, things from all around the world. From snow in the Sahara Desert to a mafia boss who fooled police by acting insane, here are 25 odd and unusual facts that'll blow your mind. 25. Ancient dentistry. The dreaded moment of sitting in the dentist's chair and waiting for pain goes back much longer than you might think. As far back as 9,000 years ago, humans were carrying out procedures on our teeth. In the ancient civilization of the Indus Valley, which is modern-day Pakistan, drilling holes into teeth with flint tips may have been common practice. Surprisingly, they were very accurate too, and only improved over time. These practices were likely to treat cavities, and they may have even used some kind of substance for fillings. Many of these techniques were lost to history, and significant developments in dentistry weren't made in Europe until the 18th century. 24. Roman surgeons used anesthetics. So, sitting in the dentist's chair isn't new. Well, neither is being under a surgeon's knife. In Roman times, there was a constant stream of soldiers and sick patients who needed procedures for a variety of reasons. Before slicing people open, Roman surgeons would administer a powerful sedative to help the patient dissociate. Powdered opium, or powdered mandragora officinarum, which contains a kind of hallucinogenic, were regularly used before the surgery could get underway. Afterward, an acid vinegar mixture was wiped on top of the cuts to disinfect them. Nice. Probably didn't hurt at all. 23. A chimpanzee was a TV co-host in the 50s. Ever looked at a TV host and thought, anyone can do that job, hey? Well, in 1953, anyone did. A chimpanzee, in fact. His name was J. Fred Muggs, and he found his way into entertainment when two NBC employees trained him and arranged an audition at the network. Muggs earned a spot on The Today Show, which had been struggling in the ratings and desperate for a new angle. Soon, after his audition, Muggs became a nationwide sensation, with one producer of the program evaluating that the chimpanzee's value for the show was approximately $100 million. Behind the scenes, J. Fred Muggs caused controversy, clashing with his on-air co-host, misbehaving on set, and allegedly biting several people, before retiring from public life when he was 23. 22. Snakes smell with their tongues. Looking at a snake up close, you might assume that their nostrils were used for smelling, just like humans. But you'd be wrong. These slippery animals use their fork. They're not that slippery. Anyway, they use their forked tongue, which lashes into the air to detect which particles are in the air. This isn't quite taste nor is it smell, but instead these chemicals have to wait to get inside a snake's mouth to be processed by an organ through to the brain. So if you see a snake flicking its tongue out, it doesn't always mean aggression. It's probably just trying to get a feel from the environment. Really glad we don't do that. Oh, that pizza smells delicious. 21. The bigger the brain, the longer the yawn. If you find yourself yawning long and hard, then you might have a larger brain. Strange as it may sound, studies show that the bigger a brain that animals have, the longer their yawns. The theory behind it is that one of the functions of yawning is to help the brain lower its temperature by taking in cool air from outside the body. Oh, I'm so smart. No. I have a thing where if I see people yawning or I hear the word or I see the word, yeah. Oh, my friend Spencer used to just say it constantly to get me to do it. It's not very fun. Please don't type yawn in the comments. I'm going to have a nightmare reading those. I won't get through it. 20. Cellophane was designed to protect tablecloths. You probably don't know the name Jacques E. Bradenberger, but I guarantee you will recognize his invention. It was inspired by the desire to make something that would stop cloth from getting wet, like when wine spilled on tables in restaurants. Eventually, he created an extremely effective substance. Shiny, clear, and sticky, Bradenberger had invented cellophane, and he didn't take long to realize that it could be put to a range of different uses. After naming it by combining the two words cellulose and diaphane, he even created a machine specifically to produce the material. Before long, it had become commercially viable, used in confectionery packaging, and manufacturing was set up in the United States too. Now, it's found in almost every home around the world, and it's all thanks to wine. Thanks, alcohol! 19. A cat was mayor of an Alaskan town for 20 years. What kind of town would elect a cat as their mayor? I mean, it sounds like a practical joke or the plot of a cheesy movie, but in Talkeetna, Alaska, that's exactly what happened. The cat's name was Stubbs, and served as mayor for 20 years, from 1997 up until he died in 2017. So, how did Stubbs get the job? Well, it seems that the townsfolk weren't too excited about any of the real candidates on the ballot, and because the vote was a write-in, many decided to vote for Stubbs, who was only a kitten at the time. From then on, Mayor Stubbs never lost an election, and was described as honest and the best they'd ever had. You feel free to write me in for elections. Let's see if we can do it. Hashtag vote for Mike. It is an election year. Let's do it. Let's go. 18. The Pringles designer was buried in a Pringles can. When it's your time to go, how do you want to be celebrated? Most people would opt for a traditional burial or a cremation, but for one man, Frederick Bauer, his dying wish was to be put into a can of Pringles. That's because of his special attachment to the crisps, or chips. He was the one who designed the iconic shape. In the 1950s, Bauer, a chemist, was given the job of creating a different potato chip by Pringles. Years of work came to fruition when he came back to the company with a saddle-shaped chip, along with a unique tube container to prevent them from being crushed. The product was released a decade later and took the market by storm, becoming an international success. Bauer, who had kicked off that success, died in 2008 and asked his family to put his ashes inside his greatest work, a Pringles can. I wonder if it got along with the inventor of the Frisbee. Now I want to know how many creators were buried in the thing they created. Or cremated. 17. The lightsaber sound was created from the buzz of a TV set. If you've seen Star Wars, then you know the iconic whooshing buzz of a lightsaber slicing through the air. But how was that sound made behind the scenes? Sound designer, and amazing sound designer, may I say, Ben Burtt took the humming sound from two old motors of a projector. Then, when he walked past a television set one day with a microphone, he took the interference noise and combined it with the projector's motors. This is how the pulsating, buzzing sound was created. Then, to convey movement, Burt used this interference to wave a microphone closer and further away from speakers, making the sound you hear whenever Luke Skywalker, or anyone with a lightsaber, waves one around. Which, I apologize, I was trying to find my batteries, and I have the batteries, but I don't have the screwdriver to undo them, so my lightsaber is... I gotta find it. Damn it! This is one of the ones they created. I designed this one myself at Doc Ondar's. No, not Doc Ondar's. Galaxy's Edge. I forgot who owns the junk shop. Oh, that's embarrassing. 16. Your tonsils partially grow back. For children, one of the most common surgeries is a tonsillectomy, where the tonsils are removed. It's usually performed to help them breathe easier or to stop them from getting infected. What you might not know is that after being removed, these tonsils can sometimes grow back. If there's enough tissue remaining, then they can regenerate, which usually isn't a problem. But in some cases, infections can occur just like before. I've never had mine removed, they're still there. 15. It snowed in the Sahara Desert in 1979. The average temperature in the Saharan Desert is over 80 degrees Fahrenheit and can soar to a blistering 122 in the summer. This is what makes it one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. However, the area does experience a variety of weather, including rain and thunderstorms. Back in 1979, the Algerian town of Ain Sefra in the Sahara was even treated to some snow for around half an hour. In the last 7 years, snow has appeared here once again, with some areas covered in as much as 40 centimeters. 14. Shakespeare has a curse etched into his tombstone. There is no better known writer than William Shakespeare, and his legacy is lived on in more ways than just his work. Actually, at his grave, too. After dying at the age of 52 in 1616, he was buried at the Holy Trinity Church in his hometown of Stratford. The legendary writer, who was in many ways a mystery, left one final warning to anyone looking to dig into his life. On his tombstone is printed the message, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear. To dig the dust enclosed here, blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." In other words, it's a message not to move his body. Many believe that it was Shakespeare who wrote the message because he signed his own will just a month before dying. It could very well be his final piece of writing. 13. March 3rd is known as What If Cats and Dogs Had Opposable Thumbs Day. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the holidays, festivals, and celebrations throughout the year, but you'd be more than forgiven for missing this one. It's called What If Cats and Dogs Had Opposable Thumbs Day? And it's just as ridiculous as it sounds. On March 3rd each year, pet owners are encouraged to dress up their animals, watch animal-based movies, and celebrate their cats and dogs. Unsurprisingly, the day hasn't ever been officially recognized, not yet, and to be honest, it's a little unsettling to imagine my dog waving to me with a thumb. I'd like to see Pika, Bella, and Kira with thumbs. Give them a sweet thumbs up. What's up, pups? You guys are probably watching this. 12. Kangaroos don't stop growing. As humans, we kind of stopped growing in our early 20s. We all remember the growth spurts of our teens, and you might have wished that it lasted a little longer, though. For kangaroos, the sky is the limit. Truly. Big kangaroos don't stop growing until the day they die. Some make it almost 7 feet high, and that's with an average lifespan of 8 to 12 years. Kangaroos in captivity that are being protected can live to over 20, giving them even more time to grow. 11. Snails can hibernate for 3 years. Snails do everything slow, including their hibernation. When temperatures get too cold for them, they excrete a kind of mucus called epiphragm that's used to seal their shell shut. Say that 10 times fast. Snails can alternate between a state of hibernation in the winter and estivation in the summer for as long as 3 years. However, this is usually a sign that their environment is too dry or too cold for them to survive. 10. Lettuce is a member of the sunflower family. Lettuce is a staple of almost any salad. But where does it come from? It was first developed for cultivation by the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, growing seeds into seedlings, sprouting leaves, and developing them into edible foliage. Lettuce has a surprising relative, the sunflower, as they're both under the family Asteraceae. Sunflowers are most famous for their use as cooking oil and first appeared in archaeological records in North America over 3,000 years ago. Are they most famous for their cooking oil? Because I would feel like they're most famous for their seeds and the way they look. Well, that's just me. 9. A group of horses in the wild will not sleep at the same time. To survive in the wild takes teamwork and coordination. That's why horses often rotate their sleep cycles, alternating so that danger can't creep up on them. One or more will stay awake, either standing upright or lying on their stomachs to keep a lookout. Sometimes it can be difficult to tell which horse is on watch because they can sleep while standing up. It's only deep sleep that requires them to lie down. 8. There's an island called Just Enough Room. You ever feel like your neighborhood is getting a little too crowded? Well, imagine having an entire island all to yourself. In Alexandria Bay, New York, a tiny island has been nicknamed Just Enough Room. And just as the name suggests, there's only space for a house built in the 1950s and a couple of trees, covering a total of 3,300 square feet. A single family, the Icelands, have owned the island for more than half a century. Not bad for a family vacation home. Well, that is until you get sick of each other and have no way to escape. 7. The collective name for a group of unicorns is a blessing. Unicorns are magical creatures. Literally. They have been a mythical fixation going back hundreds of years. Often described as graceful, pure, and innocent, it's only fitting that the name for a group of unicorns is a blessing. Fun bonus fact, it's also the national animal of Scotland. 6. A mob boss used to wander New York streets in a bathrobe. Mob bosses in New York inspire fear into the hearts of millions. The mafia terrorized the city streets from the 1950s all the way through to the 80s. However, rather than suits, shootouts, and fine dining, one mafia boss spent his time wandering the streets in a bathrobe and pajamas. However, Vincent Gigante was putting on an elaborate performance to convince the public and the authorities that he was mentally unstable. As the head of the Genovese family, investigators believe that he was responsible for over $100 million of illegal profits each year. His performance was aided by declarations from medical professionals that he was schizophrenic, and he was successful in having charges against him for bribery dropped. Eventually, in 1997, he was convicted of multiple murders and racketeering, and the judge ruled that, despite his appearance, Gigante was mentally competent enough to be held accountable. Hey, he's walking in a bathrobe here. That's my... Oh, God. I'm sorry. 5. Extreme sitting might become a sport. If you've never thought of yourself as an athlete, don't worry. There might be an up-and-coming sport just for you. If a man named Robert Silk has his way, then extreme sitting will soon be an internationally recognized sport. As you could probably guess, it involves sitting. Lots of sitting. The test is how long a person can stay in the same position. Robert himself has sat continuously for over 14 hours before. He envisions it as a future endurance sport, just like climbing or running. The conditions make the activity more difficult than simply sitting, though. Silk has done it in Antarctica, in California, and underneath the Arizona sun. What a boring spectator sport that would be. Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, sit your engines. 4. Cucumber can cure bad breath. Ever had the uncomfortable moment of speaking to someone whose breath overpowered their words? Next time, instead of gum or a mint, it might be more polite to suggest cucumber. Putting a slice of cucumber on top of your tongue for just half a minute can eliminate the kinds of bacteria responsible for the odor. It also tastes fresh and is good for your body. Oh, I hate cucumber. Oh, God. Oh, nope. 3. Fungi is closer to animals than plants. Fungi are a fascinating kind of organism. Think about it. They're found in the ocean and on land and can even create diseases. But yet, we still eat some of them, like mushrooms. And unlike things we often eat alongside mushrooms, they're not plants. Mushrooms can't photosynthesize. They're actually more closely related to being animals than plants. Even we humans share about 50% of our DNA with fungi. That might be a reason for the meaty taste that mushrooms often have. So, does that mean if you eat them, you're not a vegetarian? 2. Another term for nieces or nephews is niblings. It might not sound like English, but the word niblings is real, and it can be useful in some cases. The word refers to either a niece or nephew when you don't know the gender of the child. Niblings is an easy way to group all of your siblings' kids together. Add that one to your vocabulary, and you're sure to get some funny looks. 1. Iceland has an incest app. Modern dating is no easy task. It usually involves downloading an app, swiping through, messaging, and if you're lucky, meeting up with someone. In Iceland, there's an extra step. Because the country is so small, with a population of just over 300,000, there is a specific app to quickly verify whether or not you're related to a potential partner. All you have to do is bump phones together, and if there is a relation, a warning will go off. So, what's the strangest fact you know? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out all of our social medias, including my personal ones, links in that description. Now, did you know that there's a marathon that takes runners up over 5,000 steps on the Great Wall of China? Or how about the QWERTY keyboard was designed to keep frequently used letters away from one another on the typewriter so that it didn't jam up? Click here to find the facts rolling, or, click here to keep the facts rolling. With 25 odd ways, the world around you isn't what you think. That's a fun list. You know what? They're all fun. That's not fair. No, some of the topics are darker. So those aren't fun per se. I enjoy doing this. Not all the topics are fun.